the onus is on you to step forward and try and make those efforts to oppose injustice. One of the important takeaways from what you've studied this year is the idea that change is possible. And it's this real tension in thinking about institutions and thinking about law to assume that the existing framework is set in stone, that it can't be changed. And this is true at one level. When you go to court, you have to apply the law that exists on the books. But there's a danger in that mentality as lawyers, in thinking that because the law is the way it is today, it can never change. And so examples like racial injustice from the United States, historically and even today, suggesting that it can't change. Well, there's been a process of change, and that means that it doesn't mean that the struggle is complete. There's ongoing change that needs to happen. And so I think part of what you've learned in this program is that change is possible. And when you hear from people back home that, well, the law has always been this way, and so therefore it must be that way, you know that's not true. And you know that by looking at many of the examples you've seen in this program, that there are opportunities to promote change, and that you will have those opportunities. So I encourage you to build your expertise and to identify issues that you care about and to work on those issues. And I think one of the important things that I've tried to convey, part of the reasons I like teaching the course in the fall semester, the theory course, is, again, to echo something said earlier by, in this case, Bill, about the power of ideas. And I think that there's a misconception sometimes with lawyers about, well, is this theory, is it really important? Well, actually, ideas are the drivers of legal change in many cases. It's the theories of things like, what does justice mean? What does equality mean? What does democracy mean? What does it mean to have a market-based capitalist system or a social democratic system? These are ideas that animate people in society, and they animate change, and they are really behind the way in which the institutions that we have currently have developed. So one of those ideas is the rule of law. I was just reading this morning another example of how rule of law is really an idea that's on the move, with the UN developing a resolution currently to look at environmental governance and looking at how to improve environmental conditions around the world. And one of the key elements of this draft resolution that I saw, it hasn't been passed yet, but it's moving forward, is to emphasize that the rule of law is critical to improving the environment. If you go back just 30, 40 years ago and looking at environmental law and how people thought about environmental law, rule of law wasn't in the discussion. But because of the failure to achieve major improvements in the environment, you now see the idea of rule of law and strong legal institutions as becoming a central element to the debate. So what you've done here is going to be very relevant in the coming years. You will be able to help bring forward this movement for rule of law in a variety of ways. You can't predict what those ways will be, but you are now ready and able to do this.